You ever wake up to the sound of bulldozers chewing up your family's legacy? I mean, picture it. Dawn breaks and suddenly diesel engines are roaring, steel tracks tearing through 80-year-old Missouri corn like it's nothing, stalks snapping under wheels that don't belong, all because some smug HOA president woke up and decided my land would make a fine parking lot for her shiny new subdivision. No warning, no offer, not a dime, just entitlement, plain as day. That morning last April, I watched $47,000, an heirloom corn survivor of the Depression, the Great Recession, you name it, turn to dust while my coffee mug shattered on the kitchen floor. And you better believe the acrid fog of diesel and broken dreams hung over me for weeks. But here's the twist. Cordelia Ashworth Peton, HOA president, suburban tyrant, and my personal nightmare never saw coming. Buried in her own HOA charter was a $3.1 million legal landmine, and by the time she was popping champagne at her so-called victory ribbon cutting, I was ready to set it off. You ever wonder what you'd do if someone tried to steal your entire legacy right out from under you? I'm Jeb Thornfield, and I'll tell you what I did. Drop your town in the comments. Maybe I'll read your HOA horror next. Now let me back up a second. This story starts 3 generations deep. My granddad, Ezra Thornfield, carved 47 acres of this bottom land out of raw Missouri clay with a mule and axe and the kind of stubbornness that built this country. That man planted heritage corn that survived dust bowls and floods and every crash the economy could throw at us. When he died in '89, my dad took the torch. When Dad passed, I did. Our farm's an island caught between County Road 47 and what used to be the Peterson place until Peterson sold out to developers from Kansas City, and my quiet world flipped upside down. Suddenly, Willowbrook Estates sprang up, 200 McMansions and HOA with a rule book thicker than War and Peace sidewalks, pristine enough to eat off matching mailboxes and property values that tripled along with my taxes. I'm talking city-level taxes on dirt that's fed families since Truman. Then enrolls Cordelia, Connecticut transplant, BMW driver, blazer and yacht club dress wearer, ruler-wielding enforcer of all things neat and sterile. First came the rooster complaints. Apparently 5:30 a.m. is too rural for her sleep wellness schedule. Then she filed lawsuits about my 40-year-old tractor hurting property values. Hired a photographer to document my visual pollution like she was building a federal case. Started petitions to rezone my land, claimed my equipment endangered roads that predate her entire existence. It escalated at a county meeting I couldn't even attend, my wife Martha's memorial, God rest her. While I mourned, Cordelia was showing PowerPoints to county planners with my front field as her emergency overflow parking solution. The audacity, she was mapping out my land like I'd already agreed, even hired surveyors to stake 200 feet into my corn right through the heart of my heritage crop. I came home from Martha's memorial to orange markers, a letter regretfully demanding I cease trespassing on my own land, and a doctored 1950s deed water-damaged conveniently over the crucial bits. I wasn't having it. Marched straight to the courthouse, dug up my granddad's original deed stamped. 1943 put every stake squarely on Thornfield soil. I brought the proof to Cordelia's door, but she just smirked, patted my shoulder like I was some addled kid, and told me I was too emotional after Martha's passing to grasp complex legal matters. Threatened to drag it through court for years. She thought her money could outlast me. What she didn't count on was the power of a small town. I called Marcus Webb at the Millbrook Gazette. 3 days later, front page headline, "Suburban Bully Targets, Grieving Farmer." Comments poured in, businesses and strangers alike offering support. Cordelia shot back with a snide letter to the editor, butchered grammar and all, and earned herself a viral correction from the retired English teacher, Mrs. Hennings. Instead of backing off, Cordelia doubled down, filing county disputes that forced me to hire attorney Janet Morrison at $350 an hour. While Janet fought her in court, Cordelia blindsided the county zoning board with a petition to rezone my place from agricultural to residential. At the hearing, she rolled in with an army glossy folders, traffic studies, and photos of Old Blue, my tractor, claiming it was a hazard. She said she just wanted zoning to reflect current reality. But here's the real sting: residential zoning would spike my taxes from $2,800 to $11,200 a year, and they demand $47,000 retroactively. She'd calculated my debt from Martha's medical bills and was trying to force me to sell just to pay taxes on land my family worked since before indoor plumbing. This wasn't about zoning, it was financial assassination. Lucky for me, I had allies. Mrs. Delilah Brewster, razor-tongued retired librarian, 87 years old, and meaner than a hornet in a teacup, stood up and laid Cordelia's plans bare in front of the board. I've lived in this county for 63 years, buried 3 husbands, and never seen such shameless land grabbing. That speech went viral across local Facebook, and before long, farmers and business owners were testifying on my behalf. Cordelia brought in a big-shot attorney from Kansas City. Guy parked his Porsche in a handicapped spot. Sheriff Randy Coleman wrote him a ticket with a grin. But defending against Cordelia's bogus environmental impact studies cost me another $15,000. The zoning battle dragged on. Legal fees chewed through my savings. Every night I sat at Martha's kitchen table, bills stacked high, wondering if giving up was the only sane choice. That's when Cordelia filed for an emergency access road improvement permit right through my cornfield, just like she always wanted. The permits were approved over Christmas when half the county staff was on vacation. The morning the machinery rolled in, I found out at 5:30 a.m. Bulldozers, excavators, cones, and a foreman named Pete showing me a legit permit with signatures from people who were supposedly on a beach somewhere. The property ID was wrong, every signature suspect. This was organized permit fraud. I called the county, started recording everything, got Channel 7's investigative team out here. Reporter Sarah Martinez arrived just in time to catch the carnage on live TV. Her story hit the evening news. HOA bulldozers target grieving farmers' heritage crops. The internet lost its mind. County officials put a halt on the work and the investigation started. Cordelia tried to spin the press, called me a sympathy seeker, threatened lawsuits. But the evidence piled up. Legal fees crushed me, half my crop was gone. But then, right when I thought I'd lost it all, an unlikely hero stepped in. Harold Puckett, 73-year-old county records clerk, handed me the key, the original Willowbrook Development Agreement. There it was, a clause requiring a 200-foot agricultural buffer and a $2.3 million penalty for violations plus restoration. Cordelia had been violating this clause from day one. Turns out her HOA was a broke bankrupt from vanity projects. She was scheming with a developer to sell my buffer zone, pocket the cash, and bail out her HOA, all while burying me. Her husband's law firm represented the original developer. The surveyor was on their payroll. County staffers were ex-employees. The whole system was rotten. But with Harold's documents, I had the ammo to fight back. Janet Morrison. My attorney mapped out the perfect trap. Let Cordelia dig her grave, then hit her with everything: contract breaches, environmental penalties, and personal liability. Mrs. Brewster became our intelligence chief, organizing files, neighborhood meetings, and resistance with military precision. Marcus Webb ran media ops. The Farmers Association kicked in legal funds, and I set up cameras to document every violation. The plan worked like a charm. Cordelia, desperate as her developer deadline loomed, sent private investigators to harass us, sabotaged my tractor with sugar in the tank, and had her husband show up with a $2.1 million buyout, enough to wipe my debts, but nothing close to fair value. He threatened that accidents might increase if I didn't take the deal. Too bad for him. Missouri's one-party recording laws had me covered. I handed the tape straight to Janet. Cordelia escalated nighttime crews, illegal tree cutting, even tried hacking county computers. But we caught everything. Derek Hutchinson, the HOA treasurer, attended a late-night board meeting, caught Cordelia cooking the books, and found proof she'd taken $500,000 from the developers funneled through her husband's firm. The final blow landed on March 15th. At my press conference, I revealed every dirty detail: permit fraud, financial embezzlement, environmental crime, while the EPA and federal agents served warrants. That same day at the emergency HOA meeting, Derek exposed Cordelia's theft. Harold presented the contract clause, and the sheriff walked in with federal agents to arrest Cordelia and her husband in front of 100 furious residents. You never heard applause like that in your life. Justice finally landed in Willowbrook Estates. Cordelia went to federal prison. Her husband lost his license. The developer was bankrupted by fines. And Derek led the HOA into an era of transparency. Monthly fees dropped. Meetings became actual discussions, and property values stabilized. The agricultural buffer penalty funded the Martha Thornfield Scholarship for farming families in need. We planted a new oak where Martha's tree fell, and folks from all over came to dedicate it: farmers, activists, even suburbanites who learned what being a good neighbor really means. Our story became the gold standard for protecting small farms, and my case was cited in courtrooms and conferences nationwide. We turned our pain into progress. Heritage corn back on the rise, farm-to-table partnerships booming, and tourists coming just to see what a little truth and grit can do. I'll tell you what every sunrise over these fields reminds me. Some fights are worth everything, not just for your own, but for everyone who comes next. If you think your HOA story is wild, just wait until you hear about the city councilman who tried to swipe my neighbor's waterfront with a fake environmental report and got caught on camera. Now that's a tale for another day. So tell me, what would you do if someone tried to bulldoze your legacy? Drop your worst HOA nightmares in the comments. I read every single one, and your story might be next. If this story hit home, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share your thoughts below. This is how we stand up to bullies together. Knowledge is power. Never forget it.